Hello miners and crafters, and welcome to another video where today I'm going to be showcasing a design for a trading hall that also effectively functions as a fully AFKable raid farm, an iron farm, an XP farm, and if you choose to allow it, a cat farm. This build is so powerful that one of them is enough to provide enough resources for an entire server, with only about 30 minutes of AFKing required for a day 1 player to be geared up enough to fight the Ender Dragon. The full list of every possible drop that can be obtained is as follows. Totems of Undying from Evokers, saddles from the Ravagers, arrows from Pillagers, emeralds from more than half of the raid mobs, every iron armor piece, most iron tools, gunpowder, redstone, glowstone, sugar, spider eyes, sticks, bottles and potions from witches, iron and poppies from golems, strings from cats, lots of enchanted books that can have any enchantment on them, and of course all this isn't counting all the items that you can get as a result of trading. The Emerald Hall takes advantage of many of the village and pillage features added in the latest updates of the Bedrock edition, but shouldn't need that much adjusting to make it work on Java. But what makes this design stand out is the fact that it incorporates the Hero of the Village status effect into the design in order to take advantage of the discounted prices on trades. To that end, when designing this build, I had to keep in mind that there had to be a fully functional raid farm attached to the hall. That presented a few difficulties, however, because of the vast amount of blocks raids are able to spawn on. Because of that problem, anything near the village had to be covered in leaf blocks. Since Ravagers can destroy leaves, they had to be arranged in a pattern that made the party spawn away from the walls. And luckily that worked, as the beasts are only able to destroy leaves if they come in contact with the side of the block. Building the hall high above the ground will mostly eliminate the perimeter of leaves that would have otherwise been required to make the party spawn in the designated platform. If built in a cold biome though, care must be taken to block sky access over any water source to avoid ice forming. The next problem I faced when designing the Emerald Hall was that of Illagers riding Ravagers, which is why the first step of the raid farm portion is a small drop into water in order to separate the riders. Next on the list was to find a way to separate the Ravagers from the rest of the mobs, as I planned to soften the mobs with fall damage. This meant having to include one mob elevator for Ravagers and a separate one for every other mob. With that goal in mind, a simple 1.5 block gap in the water stream was able to achieve that with roughly a 90% reliability, with only the occasional Illager managing to sneak into the Ravager's elevator. Not to worry, however, as this does not break the farm at all. And as you can see, I achieved the 1.5 block gap by using glass panes. It is after this gap that the raid party meets up with the pillagers spawning from the outpost below, making this farm fully AFKable. While every other mob can be softened down by a 27 block drop, the Ravager with its massive pool of health requires a drop of a whopping 103 blocks in order to be softened enough. Once dropped, every mob will land in a Trident Killer. A simple yet very useful redstone contraption that consists of a few sticky pistons hooked up to a very basic clock in order to keep thrown tridents moving. This not only kills any mob in the raid party almost instantly, but it also credits the player who threw the tridents with the kills, meaning that simply holding a looting sword while activated will apply the looting effect. Because of the kills being credited to the player, all of the mobs that fall into the chamber also drop XP, making this farm at its lowest estimate as effective as a single mob spawner, but at its highest estimate even better than a double spawner, especially when used in combination with a grindstone to extract any XP out of the enchanted gear that drops. Another feature that stands out about this farm is that because of the near instant death of the mobs, it's impossible for any invokers to target the player, meaning the player will never have to worry about evoker fangs. Note the boats surrounding the AFK spot and the villagers, however, as evokers may target the iron golems that rarely might spawn during a raid. While the fangs will never harm the player or any villagers, the vexes summoned can be dealt with that way. Speaking of golems, the Emerald Hall is also, as said before, an iron farm, as well as a raid farm. 24 villagers were chosen to be in this design, as that number seemed to be the perfect balance between the minimum amount required to spawn golems, the amount needed for effective trading sessions, and keeping symmetry. Golems mostly follow the same path Ravagers do, but in the case the golem falls down the alternate path, there is a failsafe that causes golems to sink down into lava while other mobs are happy to float right over. The combined spawning algorithm for golems and raids at the same time meant that not only did the villager cells need to be covered, but that they needed to be made out of leaves entirely. The cells themselves being a 2x2 area with a minecart in the corner, allowing the villagers to sleep and work from one single location. While golem spawning in Bedrock Edition is unreliable as of this update, it's a viable source of iron, especially if after you run the enchanted gear through a grindstone, you smelt them down as well. The last thing to note is that if cat farming seems a bit cruel to you, then disabling that feature is as easy as capturing all the cats that spawn and keeping them nearby in a safe area. Make sure to keep them away from your villagers, as they tend to move the minecarts around. If you want to build the Emerald Hall yourself, there will be a world download in the description, and I encourage anyone to let me know down in the comments if it can be improved. I appreciate any feedback. So thank you for watching, miners and crafters. I hope you found this video informative, but if you enjoyed it for any reason, please leave a like, and don't forget to hit that bell.